another one. And this one that I have here today is Southern Prohibition's Crowd Control Imperial IPA. I guess I should turn around to the more interesting part of the can. Uh, they always have cool art on all their cans and bottles. I forget. I went to a beer. I went to a. They're in the same town that I'm in, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. They do beer or brewery tours, and I remember that I took a tour there once, and I remember I asked them about their artwork, and I can't recall who does the art, but they are actually a pretty big artist. They've done art for other mediums, so art's always cool. This one is one of their seasonal, I believe. I think it's a seasonal. IPA, Imperial IPA. It is 8 point. I think it's just 8%. Yeah, 8% alcohol by volume. Gets a 91 on Beer Advocate for the community score. Bros haven't looked at it yet, and it gets a 4.1 on Untapped. Let's go ahead and pour it out. I think I've only had this one once. I don't believe I think that was maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. So they may have changed the formula. They may have not. But I do know that it's local favorite. So with that pour, we get 2 fingers of off-white, kind of cream-colored head, with as you can kind of see, like an apricot, sort of unfiltered kind of look. Let's see if there's anything in the bottom. I'm not gonna be able to see if there's anything in the bottom since it's a can. Alrighty, so it's got a good bit of fermentation, carbonation in the bottom of it as well. There's lots of small little bubbles that you might be able to see down there as well. So let's go ahead and go for the aroma on it. Very pineapple, lots of pineapple aromas in here. It kind of reminds me of that kind of fruit cup, Dole. The D-O-L-E company's fruit cups, mixed fruit cups that I always find in the cafeteria. Never really, I get that same sort of aroma with other IPAs or other heavily hopped beers. They're never really my favorite type. I think it's just the hop variety. I can't remember if it's Centennial or maybe Armadillo hops. But not really my favorite. That never really means I'm up for a bad beer, but yeah, it's just it's typically a very prominent, pungent kind of very powerful kind of pungent sort of aroma and sometimes flavor. Otherwise, it's kind of sugary, very sweet smelling, bready, malty. It smells like your typical kind of double IPA, just very dank, very pungent in its aroma. So let's go ahead and go for the flavor on it. Very drinkable for 8% alcohol. That pineapple actually does come through a lot on the palate from the start to the finish. Very much just kind of like pineapple juice that you would get out of the bottom of a can. But maybe like very good pineapple juice. It's very doubtful they actually put real pineapple juice in this. The maltiness also comes through. You're mostly getting those, like I said, those those powerful hop varieties. Excuse me, I'm hopping all over the place. That just very citrusy, but very tropical fruit. It's definitely not West Coast. It's with West Coast hops. There's that very piney, citrusy hop variety that's almost kind of like pine sol or something like that, and it's aroma and flavor. And then there's like I said, this sort of pineapple, tropical kind of flavors that are also just as strong as those more piney resinous ones, and the tropical variety of hop, or the tropical aroma and flavor palettes is what the flavor notes are what I'm getting out of these particular hops. The alcohol doesn't come through very much at all. It's very well balanced, meaning that those uh, sort of sharp biting dry finish doesn't really or doesn't really present itself too much. It's very that's kind of what plays towards the drinkability of it too. The mouthfeel is fairly flat. The Not saying flat is in a bad way, but just you're not really getting a whole lot of fizziness in the throat area or in the back of the tongue from the carbonation, even though there's a lot of bubbles in the glass. Like I said, so it's a drinkable finish. There's a bit of dryness kind of on the very end of the aftertaste of the mouthfeel, but otherwise it is very drinkable. It's very well-rounded Imperial IPA. You're just getting a lot of that one particular hop, so it's also a fairly basic Imperial IPA because I'm only really getting that one level of hop variety in there, being that pineapple kind of flavor. But Overall, an excellent IPA. I can see why it's so popular around town. And this is probably the second time I've had it in maybe a couple years. So definitely a solid A for me on SoPro's Crowd Control Imperial IPA from Hattiesburg. All right, well, that's that. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching.